Hey there, you guys. This is Nick. Welcome back to Turnip Head Art. I know it's been a while, but I've been grinding on Inktober, and I've had a couple other things going on to keep me off the YouTube, but I'm getting back into it, and I appreciate you watching. So, this Inktober, I went pretty cheap. I just used supplies I already owned, except for these cheap toned craft paper. I bought a pack of that. It was like $2. So I'm going to go over what I used. I'm going to go over my methods for how I did things this Inktober. And I'm just going to show you all the pieces. It might be a long video. I might do a lot of rambling. And if you're not into it, mute it, put it on double time, and just look at the art if you want. And if not, I appreciate you stopping by for the brief visit you did anyways. So, here we go. Most of my pieces were done with the stuff you see here. I used a graphite pencil holder, 2mm, a couple color erase pencils in blue and red. I use two colors because I like to use the different colors to create depth. Like the blue is closer, the red is further back in the piece. I use either a Fude pen or a pocket brush pen, both Pentel. And I use one of these Signo Uniball white pens. Not on every piece, because there's a lot of pieces that I got to, I didn't feel like it needed it. And also I didn't have enough time, because like I'm going to tell you later, I had a special way I was going to handle this so I could actually squeeze in all the pieces. So in order to get myself done faster, I kind of loosely stuck to this thumbnail page I created on the 1st of October. Now you'll see a lot of them aren't filled in because I just didn't have any ideas on the first day, and I didn't give myself a ton of time to work on it. And as you'll see on the pieces as I show them to you, I definitely did not stick to any of the thumbnails I created. I just used them as kind of a general direction to go with the pieces. And there's a few of these I really liked, but just didn't work for the Inktober prompt very well. Like Ornament here, I don't know why I went with this Mind Flayer D&D character looking thing. And there's a couple others. I don't think I went with this. Yeah, I didn't go with this weird design for the ring. But in general, I stuck with this page as a bit of a guide to what to do on the pieces. So my first piece was Ring. And I did a mimic from D&D. I did outline him in the white. I kind of did a little of everything in this piece because I was rushing through it. And as I was doing these pieces, I only gave myself 30 minutes. That's design, that's thinking on the prompt, that's research if I happen to need to do it. Most of them I did not do any research, but this one was Ring. You can see there's a ring in the mimic's mouth. Pretty straightforward. I drew a D&D monster. Day 2 was Mindless. So, I mean, you can kind of see where I went with this. I referenced a brain. I created this skull whose eyes are shooting in multiple directions. He's mindless, like the prompt. Pretty straightforward. I really like how the brain turned out. Day 3, I was really not feeling it, but I still pushed myself to make something. So I did this. It's a worm. There's a shark, and I know sharks don't eat worms, I don't think. But that's what I went with. And I don't know why I put glasses on the worm, but this is the piece. That's that. Day 4 was Freeze. And just like a lot of other people I noticed after, I went with this Medusa-ish character. And I tried to give a stony texture to the walls in this character. I was feeling this one a little more, so I put a little more effort into it. I like her as a character. I'm not sure I like the stony texture of this previously gung-ho warrior. But I liked it. It was good. It was a good idea. I could have done it better, but I only gave myself 30 minutes. So number 5 was Build. And I had just watched the new Enchanted cartoon, the new season of Enchanted, I mean. And the octopus monster really, really felt right to me. So I had him building a bony structure, picking up the bones and stacking them. And I like the way this one turned out. It's fairly simple, but I like the character. I like this. It just works. So number 6 was Husky. So I used a double meaning here. He's a big fella, sometimes referred to as Husky, and he has a dog head. Not necessarily a husky in appearance, but a dog. So that's what I went with, and I was kind of pushed for time because it took me so long to concept the idea that doing the piece. Did not give me a lot of time. So number 7, I kind of like it also. I did reference a movie. This was from Howl's Moving Castle. This is Turnip Head, which is also my namesake, where I got my name idea from, because I just think he looks cool as hell. Enchanted was the prompt, and I think it works well for this piece. And that's it. I mean, I watched the movie, and then I was like, I'm going to draw him. So I did. Number 8 was Frail, and Halloween is frail, pumpkins are frail. And I decided to make him a character, so I put him on this stuffed animal body. Gave him eyes, you know, he's all cracked. And I'm just noticing how dramatically different the texturing is on the pumpkin than the body. The body looks super cartoony, and the pumpkin is pushing closer to realism. But that's that. Okay. Number 9 is a little bit... let's just see. Let's see what YouTube thinks of it. She's got a booty, and she's swinging a fish to kill a mouse. And I saw an animation on Twitter of a warrior-type character swinging a sword, and I liked it. I liked the way the motion looked, so I decided to adopt it a little bit. And I did something a little different with the white ink on this one. I only did the left side of the character, no outlines. I kind of gave some shape to the mice and the dead fish. And I really like how these swirls of motion came out in this motion line. It really looked good. So, that's number 9, swing. Number 10 was pattern. And I really struggled to come up with anything. I thought spiders have a lot of legs. And then I was like, so a lot of the same thing over and over again is a pattern. So, as you can see, I definitely went with that. A lot of legs and a lot of eyes. Definitely some patterns going on. I don't know what he's supposed to be, but that's what it is. It's a lot of eyes and legs, because that's what a pattern is. Moving on. Number 11 is snow. So I just went with a simple scene. This igloo, this person in their heavy coat making a snowman. They've got their carrot and their hat ready. There's lots of snow involved. And there's a seal over here popping out of the ice. Just watching. I don't know why, I just doodled this on because I had a couple extra minutes after my 30-minute timer. So I did it. Number 12 was dragon. And who do you think of when you think of dragon? You think of Spyro. But I kind of stole a rough idea of his head design. Took off the back legs, made him more of a serpentine dragon with just some forelegs here. And again, I finished the design on him because I know Spyro. I played the game since I was a kid, and I just knew how to draw him. So I added some jewels and some coins and a floor texture and all that. I like how he looks. I made him a little more grown up and a little more negative, a little more dark. But it's a dragon. Okay, day 13. I didn't even think of the prompt. I just went crazy with doodles. And I honestly probably spent like 2 hours on this one. I've got a weird elf. These two were the beginning of the day. I do a couple seconds into it. I was mocking up some weird design ideas for a new header. I don't know what that was. I did this cute face with these things around it. I did this potted plant. And I was watching some JoJo, so I drew some manly faces. And then handsome Squidward being abusive to SpongeBob. And I don't know what I was doing, but that's what I did. What was the prompt for the 13th, by the way? The 13th prompt was Ash. Oh, I remember. Ash. Everybody was drawing Ash Ketchum. Or Ash from, which one was it? With this chainsaw for a hand. You can remind me. Army of Darkness. Was that the movie where he had the chainsaw hand? Yeah, Army of Darkness. And everybody was drawing those too. So I felt unoriginal if I drew anything that I was feeling. So I just went with whatever. Okay. Moving on to number 14 is Overgrown. And I was kind of feeling this one, so I put a little more time into it. This one probably took 40 minutes. Just FYI, if you ever feel like using cheap craft paper with these inking brushes, don't. You see how much bleed there is whenever I put this dark silhouette of the trees in here? Look at all that bleed. Now, it might, in some situations, feel like it works, but I do not like it at all. It looks terrible to me. But overgrown, I kind of thought of the Sword in the Stone, or like the Lost Forest, or something magical. But there's two moons, so it's clearly not Earth. And this very broken down sword just left in the stump in the forest, and it's all overgrown, and everything's kind of irking into it until some hero on some day finds it. I like the idea. And I didn't find a way to use my white pen here because I didn't think I wanted it to pop that much, but I did use it for all the text that I wrote in. And number 15 is Legend. I don't know what I was thinking, and I don't even remember what my prompt was, but I just drew a bunch of little stuff. I drew this table. I tried to give it a lot of wood texture. That took me a while. I just got into it. A scepter, some drying plants, this elf warrior's head. And he looks like he's still alive, so obviously this is a wizard's place. Spell books, quill and ink, cracked wall. I just drew a bunch of stuff, and I did this several times over the month because when I didn't know what to draw, I just sat down and did some drawing. And I always recommend that's what you do. If you don't know what you're going to draw, just draw whatever comes to mind. I don't care if it doesn't follow the prompt you have, just start drawing, and then you're going to be motivated to draw more. Just do the work, and then it will just come to you. Because I've heard many times over from different artists that I've learned from, the only way you're going to get inspiration is if you do the thing that inspires you. And if you're an artist, creating things is how you become inspired. So let inspiration find you working, and it will drive you into something great. I'm not saying this is great, but I am saying that I felt inspired because I was already drawing something. Okay, moving on. Number 16 is Wild. So I just drew a simple log cabin in the woods. I was going to black this all out around these eyes, but I didn't have time. So I cut myself off at 30 minutes. I wasn't feeling it anyways, so that was that. It's in the wild. The forest is in the background. It was supposed to be blacked out. These eyes are looking at the cabin, very dark and spooky. And that's it. Just a cabin in the woods, out in the wilds. Number 17 is Ornament, and I went with a skull. And after doing it, I realized a lot of people went with that. But that's okay, because I did not take any kind of inspiration from what I saw online, because I didn't even see it until after I drew this. So I gave him some heavy shadows on one side, and I outlined him in white, and added highlights in white to make it a little more glossy, hopefully. You know, like a glass Christmas tree ornament, but a skeleton. Or a skull. And that's it. Number 18 is Misfit. So I just created a new character. Her name's Lydia, and she's a misfit. Even the fey creatures didn't like her at first. So she's kind of a hollow character. She's probably something like a witch, but she was probably an animated doll of some kind to begin with. I really haven't felt her out, really haven't felt out the idea of the character, but this is her, and I'll build around her if I decide to use her for anything in the future. Okay, number 21 is Treasure, but I did not come up with anything good. I didn't want to copy my first prompt, which was the mimic. It was ring, but I drew a mimic, and the first thing that came to mind was a mimic. So I didn't do that. I did, however, think of the mask salesman from one of the Zelda games. I forget which one. You'll have to remind me. What a lame ass. But I ended up getting carried away with all the lines on him, and he ended up looking like an old man. So I went with it. He's the old version of the mask salesman. And I had more time, so I just drew a Roman curvy face thing that I ended up calling Drakjita, because he has a cape. You know, he looks like Vegeta's hair, kind of looks like Dracula, And I just called him Drakjita. And that was that. Again, this is another one of the ones where I just drew because I didn't know what to draw. You just draw to find out what to draw. So 19 and 20. So on the 19th, I was busy, super busy all day. So I ended up doing this one on the 20th. So 19 and 20 were both done on the 20th. I was super busy with work. There was some bad news at work that I was worried about, and I just didn't have the time to do any kind of art. So I made up for it on the next day, and I spent 45 minutes-ish drawing these. Sling was the number 19 prompt, and I ended up making a trebuchet. I built one of these when I was younger. It was probably 2 feet tall and threw cocoa pebbles across the kitchen, you know, something like that. And this is kind of what it looked like with popsicle sticks. So I just drew that, gave it the wood texture, really zenned out, and spent the whole half hour really getting in the wood grain on this. And then on the 20th tread, I thought about walking. I thought about the things you tread on. And I said, what do you tread on more than your own feet? So I just drew a foot. And that took me like 15 minutes to really get it right, because when I was doing the pencil, it kept looking wrong. And even now, these tendons aren't lining up right, whatever. But that's what it is. Number 20. Where's 21? 19 and 20. I skip one, guys. Yeah, 21. I got these mixed up. Let's fix that. So, 19 and 20th, 21. Okay, 22 I actually did on white paper, and I was very disappointed in myself because I couldn't find my craft paper. But this is Ghost, and she is a doll who has been haunted, is possessed with these ghosts. Now, I was told that it looks lewd, and it's art. Art cannot, I feel, be considered lewd whenever it's done in a style that is totally not anatomically correct to the human body. This is a doll. There are obvious doll-like joints. It is obviously broken and cracked. That's clearly not a human's face. I don't care. Don't at me about the anatomy being adult. I think she turned out great. This creature, ghost, doll, woman, thing, I think it turned out pretty good. And I don't know why I came up with it. I just started drawing, and this is what happened. So on the 23rd, the prompt was ancient, and I couldn't come up with anything, so I just drew again. And I know that's becoming a common thing here, but I just drew some stuff. I saw some furry artists on Twitter and decided to draw some things that were based on their things. And I was like, you know what, I gotta do something ancient. I gotta do something old. So I drew this old head, hollowed out eye thing. And that was it. I mean, I really just drew stuff. And this pen here puts down a lot of ink, and this Bristol board does not want to absorb it. So it stayed wet for a long time. And when I went to put it away, it just smeared. So I just took a paper towel and scrubbed it off. Just spread around the ink that wasn't dry yet to get it to dry faster so I could put it away. I really wasn't feeling it this day, but I did it anyways. Like I said, even if you don't feel like it, do it. Day 24, Dizzy. I drew this eye, and I kind of like it. Again, that ink was just not accepting this Bristol paper. But I drew an eye. I gave it a lot of these weird swirl textures going on. I did a lot of these dots, these like leading dots like they do in a lot of comics. It doesn't look great, but I spent 30 minutes toying with it, and that was that. I drew, I never found inspiration, and sometimes that happens, but you draw anyways. Number 25 is Tasty, and he looks like he's found something that he's going to enjoy eating. Now, I did spend about 45 minutes on this one, I think, maybe an hour, because I liked how it was turning out, and I really put some effort into it. I should have drawn this one for Dragon, but I didn't come up with it then. I came up with it on the 25th day of October, so this is when I draw it. And, I mean, what can I say? He looks tough. I like the way he looks. I picture him having a, like, humanoid body down here. Maybe kind of a long neck thing, but a humanoid body. And he's probably pretty lean, very, you know, speedy, kind of athletic build, I guess, is the way to put it. He's not big and buff. He's not a huge, heavy-bodied person. He's more of that lean body type that's really fast. But I like how he turned out, and I might actually take this head and make it a digital thing and put it on a mannequin that I've drawn and flesh him out more because I like how he looks. Alright, 26th is Dark, and I thought of outer space, and then I thought of the Mario games, and then I thought of Luna and her little star people. And I mean, it would be really dark if that poor lonely princess in outer space lost all of her little star friends. So then I drew one dead. And then these are like the ghosts of the other ones that also died. So now she's alone. Completely alone in the dark. And that's pretty dark. Because outer space is cold and lonely. And now she is too. Alright, so 27 is Coat. So I drew another dragon. I drew 3 dragons. And Coat of Arms was the first thing that popped in my mind. So I drew this very logo-ish style dragon head on a shield background to make it like a coat of arms. I know it doesn't have the design pattern. It's not like separated into different quadrants with all the colors and whatnot, but I think this works because it looks like it would be something that you might find on a knight's shield in an anime or a comic, and I like it. And in case you didn't notice, this is just the cover to the Bristol paper, and I swear that it feathers less and takes the ink better than the actual Bristol paper. I really like how this looks on this texture, because if you can see it, I really like that. And I thought that I like the way the ink goes on that. Okay, number 28 is Ride. And I thought about a knight riding on a horseback or something like that, but then I thought of Shino from Naruto. And now he has all these bugs riding on him like he's the horse. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to look him up because I don't remember what he looks like. And I saw this Twitter feed that had a line art piece that looked very much like what I ended up drawing. And I like him without his cowl and stuff covering up his face. Because he's a little older in this one and leaner. And I tried to go for a brushed kind of thing with all these speckles, like they're the bugs coming out. Maybe not great. And again, all this bleeding from that ink on this craft paper. Cheap craft paper does not take the ink well, but I think it turned out pretty cool. It was another one of those situations where I wasn't super feeling it, because I do draw every day anyways, but I don't draw an additional piece for 30 minutes out of the day every day. So sometimes I came up a little short on inspiration, but I just drew anyways. And this is the idea I came up with. Shino with all his bugs coming out at him because they're riding on him. And that's that. Okay, day 29 is Injured. So I saw this Baphomet design on Facebook, and I really liked it. It was a watercolor piece, I think, or maybe it was acrylics, or even gouache. It was a painting, and it looked a lot like this, and it had the torn out eye on both sides, but I didn't like that. I wanted just one injury, and I ended up just simulating a lot of the textures and stuff because there's no way I can with ink copy what someone did with paints. But I created this line art of Baphomet with like these interesting designs, and I found a identical, similar to this design somewhere on Pinterest, so I just kind of mounted that in his head. This candle is actually a Catholic design. It's actually on a coin that I've seen before, but I looked it up and I really like the shine. That's very comic book, very stamped looking, the way the light shines there, so I put that on his head. Kind of a mishmash of religious visualization there. Again, it's not quite on prompt, but I like it. I like how it turned out. You know, I don't necessarily care what religious beliefs you are, but I thought the goat looked pretty cool. Okay, so on to 30. This was supposed to be catch, and we catch fish, and aliens catch us for their interesting experiments. But I just thought, what if they skipped the middleman and just went for the fish? What would they do? They would turn into fish. And so he's got his little blaster. He's like, "You're gonna come with me, fish." So he's turned himself into a mermaid. He's got gills in his neck so he can breathe like the fish, because they're so advanced they can do that. And that's what I went with. And again, this is another piece of that cover, because I really like the way the ink went down on it. But I like this character. I like this look. And I called him a mermalian in case you can't read the cursive there. And we come to the 31st. Now I thought, oh, I'm going to wrap up with something great. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so exciting. But it is not. I just wanted to draw another squared up man, but I wanted him to be old. Because I've always heard something like, you'll be in your ripe old age, in your 50s, you're reaching the ripe old age of 50. So ripe was the prompt. And this is the man I drew. He looks like a stereotypical Generation X jerk old man who tells you to get off of his lawn. And I could not come up for the life of me with anything that says old man more than complaining. And who knows who John Wayne is? Not a lot of younger people. So, WTF do you mean, who's John Wayne? That's why he looks so angry. So apparently some young person has just told him that he doesn't know who John Wayne is. And that's upsetting. And that's it. So, I would love for you guys to tell me what you got up to for Inktober, because I know not everyone is able to make it through it. People are busy. I get it. And if you did anything for Inktober, let me know. Let me know if it was different. Maybe send me a link. Link me your video or your Instagram or your Twitter. Wherever it is you post your stuff, link it to me. I'll check it out. I really will. And let me know which one of these you like the most. Because honestly, I really liked my overgrown piece. I really liked the ride one with Shino. I enjoyed doing the Luna one, the dark one, but she was a little less, because I really didn't have the time to put into it, and I was a little disappointed with the outcome. But I like Drakjita, and there's a few little things in here that I could really do something with. But this is another cool thing about Inktober. You can really get into it and draw a bunch of rando stuff and come up with ideas for real pieces that you intend to do in the future. I gave myself 30 minutes a day. Some of them I did a little less. Some of them did quite a bit more. But in the end, I ended up with 31 pieces. And now I've got something to work from when I move on. Because I've got a comic I'm working on. I've got stories I'm writing. I have commissions from people who really don't know what they want. So I might have something in all this that could really feed into what it is they do. And if that's not great, then I don't know what is. I love having a prompt. I live on prompts when it comes to my art. If I don't have a prompt, it takes me forever to concept new ideas. But that's it for this video. This is my wrap up for Inktober. I really enjoyed it this year. I'm so happy I was able to complete it. Let me know if you did too. I would love to see it. And until next time, always remember, you are awesome.